It is becoming increasingly apparent documentation is incredibly important for a number of reasons. Every single one of us can do a better, more thorough job of documenting the services we provide and justifying through our documentation the CPT codes that we are billing for our services. In order to help you do this, we are going to break down each CPT code one at a time and just give you the definition and some things to think about when using that particular code. Today we're going to start with the 97532, the Development of Cognitive Skills Code. One thing to note about this code is there are a few key terms that would be really important to include within your documentation if you are indeed using the CPT code for your services. Those key terms are going to, I'll give you now, and then you'll hear them as I read you the definition of this code. It's attention, memory, problem solving, and reasoning. Those are the key terms. So let me say those again. Attention, memory, problem solving, and reasoning. So the full definition is as follows. The development of cognitive skills is to improve attention, memory, and problem solving, which includes compensatory training. It's direct one-on-one patient contact by the provider. The justification must be clear in the documentation of the need for cognitive skills development, such as impaired memory, reasoning, problem solving, and attention to tasks. This activity requires constant attendance with one-on-one care, billed in the following increments with a maximum of 2 units per date of service. 1 unit would be 8 minutes to 23 minutes. 2 units would be 23 minutes up to 37 minutes. Cognitive skills are an important component of many tasks, and the techniques used to improve cognitive functioning are integral to the broader impairment being addressed. This activity is designed to improve attention, memory, and problem solving, including the use of compensatory techniques. Impaired functions may include, but are not limited to, the ability to follow simple commands, attentions to tasks, problem-solving skills, memory, ability to follow numerous steps in a process, multi-step directions, perform in a logical sequence, and the ability to compute. Conditions without potential for improvement or restoration, such as chronic progressive brain conditions, would not be appropriate. Evidence-based reviews indicate that cognitive rehabilitation, and specifically memory rehabilitation, is not recommended for patients with severe cognitive dysfunction. Cognitive skills training should be aimed towards improving or restoring specific functions which were impaired by an identified illness or injury, and expected outcomes should be reasonably attainable by the patient as specified by the plan of care. Supportive documentation recommendations. Objective assessment of the patient's cognitive impairment and functional abilities. The progress for recovery of the specific impaired cognitive abilities, remediation, a determination of a range of compensatory strategies that the individual can realistically utilize to improve daily function in a meaningful way. Specific cognitive activities performed, the amount of assistance, and the patient's response to the intervention to demonstrate that the skills and expertise of the therapist were required. So let me give you one example of how you could document this cognitive code. Let's say you're doing a bubble activity. As a therapist, you may be using this bubble activity for a variety of different reasons. One of the reasons might include cognition. So in your documentation, you would state that the activity that you're doing is bubbles. Why are you doing the activity? To increase attention, time on task, and following multi-step directions. Then, how did the patient perform? The patient maintained attention to activity for 2 minutes before requiring redirection. They followed multi-step verbal directions. 3 out of 4 steps were completed to initiate the task. The last step required a physical prompt. Patient increased memory, remembering final step independently by last repetition. So as I said, you may be doing bubbles to increase language, increase oral motor musculature, strengthening, you may have the patient up reaching for bubbles, so it's more of a gross motor activity. There could be a number of other things that you're working on within this activity, and those should be documented as well. But if you're also thinking about the cognitive piece of that activity, that's just an example of how you might go about documenting that. So we welcome any questions, and we'll look forward to bringing you the next video. Thanks.